The minimum legal drinking age in the United States is 21. The CDC calls drinking by those under age 21 a public health problem. I'm Maria Boynton. In this edition of Atlanta Up Close, my guests discuss efforts to curtail underage drinking, among them the owner of a midtown liquor store who uses technology and good old-fashioned communication. My guest today is Bryan Lewis, CEO of Intellichex. Hey Bryan, how you been?
I'm very well. How are you doing today, Maria?
I am doing well. We're here today to discuss fake IDs, kids going to college, kids just getting fake IDs. So why don't you tell everybody first and foremost, Bryan, what Intellichex is?
IntelliCheck is a company that can authenticate a state ID or a driver's license to near 100% certainty. So we're used by a lot of law enforcement agencies and state ABCs to make sure that bars and restaurants and liquor stores aren't selling to underage kids.
And you seem to have your hand on the pulse when it comes to things that families, colleges, universities need to be mindful of when it comes to such things as fake IDs. What are you learning? I mean, when in your discussions with law enforcement, first and foremost, what is one of the things that you guys keep your pulse on?
I'd say the number one thing is these are far too easy to get. And the number two thing is what law enforcement tells us, they can't tell them apart by just looking at them. The places that sell these advertise that they have all the holograms, they pass the backlight test, they've got the hidden security features. For certain states that have special plastic, they will advertise that they even have that type of plastic. And every kid seems to know how to get them. And it's becoming a rite of passage that you join a fraternity or sorority or you go to school. The first thing they do is point you to the websites where you can buy these licenses, and they prey on that fact and they give volume discounts. So it really is somewhat of an epidemic of fake IDs.
So, okay, let's take a step back here. You say it's like a rite of passage when they join these organizations and they
Mm-hmm.
get the websites to actually go and get these fake IDs. Now, I've
Mm-hmm.
never had a fake ID. So so I recall people would use them to get alcohol and things of that nature. Is that still what they do today?
Absolutely. There's two main uses. One is to get, if you're underage, things you shouldn't be buying, and the second is to perpetuate identity theft. And the companies that sell these, they charge a lot of money for them if you're buying individually. So I just checked for Georgia this morning to buy a real ID, a fake real ID. If I buy it myself, it's $200. If I get two friends, or another friend, it's $80. And if I get four friends, it's $70. So very, very easy to get. And it's everybody, I've yet to find a kid out of college who's now legal age who will admit that they didn't know how to get one of these.
So what is the warning though against these particular enterprises that deal in these fake IDs? What's the warning about them?
Well, most of them, they're coming from overseas. Most of the shipments that are caught come from China. Just last year, 20,000 at O'Hare, 5,000 in Louisville, 15,000 in Cincinnati, I think another 2,000 in Memphis, and that's just what got reported and was caught. And it's like a game of whack-a-mole. As soon as the government puts enough pressure on these other foreign governments to shut the website down, it just opens up under another name again. So it's as much as we try and battle it, it's an ongoing problem because it's a very, very lucrative business for these counterfeiters.
My guest right now is the CEO of Intellicheck, Bryan Lewis. We're talking about, believe it or not, fake IDs. The teens are still getting them, they're still using them, and now they're being targeted. And the companies that are producing these things are learning and have found ways to make a quote unquote killing out of it because it's like you buy more, the more you buy, the cheaper it is for the person who brings in more people. So, what warnings do you have for those who are actually the buyers?
Penalties can be pretty severe, right? So in Georgia, if you're caught with any blood alcohol level underage driving, you're going to get your license suspended for 6 months. If it's over the legal limit of 0.08, it's 1 year. So that's one thing to remember. The other thing is it depends on the state that you're in. So, for example, if you have a fake ID, even if it's got your own name on it, in New York State, you can be charged with a felony. And think about what a felony charge can do to your future. A lot of jobs dry up if you've got a felony conviction, unfortunately.
So these fake IDs, I know you talked about some of the features. What all do they have on them that is necessary for the underage to get them and to want them?
Well, again, it looks so realistic. I've compared, real IDs to these fakes that come in, and again, it's very, very, very difficult to figure out that it's fake. Law enforcement uses our technology to authenticate licenses because they tell us they're trained. They can't tell by looking at the license and seeing that it's fake. So if they can, imagine how difficult it would be for a bartender or a beverage store clerk to know. So what we are in a way fighting for also with law enforcement is to make sure that the law has caught up with technology, because most laws in every state, all they say, Georgia being one of them, that a visual inspection of the license, it's all that is need to be done. But when law enforcement are telling us they can't tell that it's fake, uh, the law has not kept up with how good these fakes are. They are undetectable, and you need technology to be able to use a mobile device to scan the ID and make sure that it's real. That's the only way to stop these, and the law does not require that.
Every once in a while, we will talk to the owner of Mac's Liquor Store right here in Atlanta, and
Yeah.
I believe they're a client of yours.
Yes, they are.
And he was one who told us about the problem of folks coming in there with the fake IDs and the hazards of having fake IDs, and not necessarily Brian, the hazard of that, but just the hazard of underage drinking as well.
Yeah, and Mac is the epitome of what we need in responsible sellers of underage products, and he's the president of the Georgia Alcohol Dealers Association. And I know he's pushing this to all of the members, because they know they need to do the right thing, because underage drinking has it's shown to do a ton of health issues to kids, and the responsible distributors of alcohol want to make sure that they're only selling to the right people. So people like Mac want to go one step above and beyond the law and make sure they're stopping it as much as they can. He's a great person.
Okay, everybody. Brian Lewis is the CEO of IntelliCheck. It was your technology that fake IDs were spotted. I know at Mac's store, right?
Correct. Yeah, hundreds of them, in a month.
Right. So Brian
Okay.
Lewis, CEO of IntelliCheck, is here with us right now. So when we talk about this particular type of technology that folks like Matt Thurston use in their business here in Atlanta, I mean, is it web-based? Is it an app, a device? What is it, and how does it work?
It's the way that most people are using it to stop the sale of age restricted products. It is an app. They can download it from the App Store. We authorize them to use it. Everything happens in the cloud. So as long as they have Wi-Fi or mobile phone access, they can authenticate the license. They scan it using their smartphone or a tablet. Goes up into the cloud. We make sure it's real and send them back a result.
What advice or what words of warning would you give to, say, parents, about their students or their children and fake IDs?
The number one thing that studies show is talk to your kids about the issues of underage drinking, and what it can do to them both mentally and physically. That's been the number one thing shown to stop kids from doing it.
Brian Lewis, in such a short amount of time, you've given us a great amount of knowledge about fake IDs and protecting your teenager from underage drinking. Brian Lewis, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
We're joined now by Mac Thurston. Mac, we've been talking to, of course, Brian Lewis, the head of IntelliCheck. Tell everybody about your business and what you do.
Well, I founded 30, almost 5 years ago, Max Beer and Wine Midtown Liquor in Midtown Atlanta. We're a full service package store in the city of Atlanta.
We spoke to you a few years ago, and you seem to have your ears and eyes in touch with the community and everything that goes along with it when it comes to IDs, when it comes to underage folks coming in to your establishment. Tell everyone what you're over.
Well, actually, I'm current president of the Georgia Alcohol Dealers Association, We represent lots of stores around the state of Georgia, and that's a position I currently hold with the association.
So, with the Georgia Alcoholics Dealers Association, which you are the head of right now, Mac, how many members do you have, and what type of stores do you represent exactly?
Well, we represent independent packaged liquor stores statewide. We currently have about 450 members scattered throughout the state. And yeah, that's about the size of the association as it stands today.
So, everyone, we're talking to Mac Thurston. He is the proprietor of Mac's Liquors, which is in Midtown, and he's also head of the Georgia Alcohol Dealers Association with about 450 members, independent dealers in the business. As president, what is your focus right now, and what are your goals?
Well, it's what they always are. It's as an independent liquor dealer, trying to represent those people in our state house and trying to keep beverage alcohol vending in the hands of small business where it really belongs. You mentioned about being a member of the community, and that's exactly how many of us see ourselves, is that we not only are in the community, but we're an integral part of that community. As they always say, when it comes to 21-year-olds and above, the party starts with us. But we try to make sure and take every effort that that party is safe and sound, and that every sale we make is a legal sale.
So, Mac, we were talking to, again, Bryan Lewis with IntelliCheck, and he was talking about that you seem to keep your pulse on it, and something that you all are trying to tell the community, especially parents, is that when it comes to fake IDs, it's moving forward in that realm more than ever now.
Just like everything else, technology's played a big role. When I started this game, you could easily just use a circulated book that comes out every year that shows every ID from in the United States. And I'm not knocking the product. It's a good product. But technology's caught up with us now. And you have to be exceedingly aware of what's going on. And we pretty much have a feeling that it's more of an industry now, that is the fake ID industry, than it ever has been before. And I think it's incumbent upon parents to realize that we all know the rite of passage in the United States is turning 16 years old. I believe in most states that gives you the right to sit for your driver's license and obtain that license, and that's a really coveted piece of ID. And unfortunately, what's happened is that we've had an industry that has grown up around IDs, and there are lots and lots and lots of fakes on the street. And parents need to know this, that their kids are being bombarded by people that are very nefarious and that are trying to peddle false IDs or fake IDs to our kids.
So what are you finding? I mean, is it a particular group that's being targeted? Or, back in the day, I guess it was a clandestine type thing, hey, you can go get a fake ID. Not that I had one or anything. But what do you find now that you say technology has advanced so far and things? What's the difference from then and now when it comes to the fake IDs that you find?
Well, they're so prevalent, first of all. They're so easy to get. You're right. That friend you had and my friend that back in the day would stumble across an ID and all of a sudden produce one. Quite frankly, they were pretty rare. Today, no, they're everywhere, and it's as easy to obtain as just about anything else in our society. If you want it, there's somebody out there that's ready to provide it, and it's really gotten to the point now where they even have it. So you can buy one ID at, I don't know, a certain price, and then buy 5 IDs at a better price and get me 80 IDs, and we can get the best price of all. So they actually have volume deals on IDs. The technology has made them prevalent, and as far as the groups behind it, I can't speak to that. I don't know. I just know that it's incumbent upon me as a liquor dealer and a member of our community to make sure that my sales are legal sales, and that helps keep the community safe.
Yeah, everybody, we're talking to Mac Thurston, who is president of the Georgia Alcohol Dealers Association, bringing and shedding new light, renewed light, as he has been doing through the years about the fake IDs, things of that nature. So when we were talking to Bryan Lewis, who is with IntelliCheck, he was telling us that the ringleaders now seem to be targeting or going after groups such as sororities and fraternities, getting the word out to them, hey, the more people you bring in, the less it'll cost you to get fake IDs. Mac, what else do you feel that parents need to know when it comes to things like this in terms of the safety behind it all?
Well, I think they need to know that it's not a game. I think that, over the years, the decades, the millennium, that people have played this game, and it truly is now a game with consequences. It goes much deeper than just an underage person trying to buy alcohol. It gets into all kinds of things like homeland security, and it goes down that road. And the penalties can be pretty stiff if a kid's caught with a fake ID. And I think the parents just need to know, once again, as I say, that their kids are exposed to this more than they know. And it would probably be a good idea just to sit down and say, can't you hold off and just wait till you're 21 and don't carry fake or false secure IDs.
Yeah, Mac, and when we look at the CDC, it says that underage drinking is a significant public health problem in the United States, that excessive drinking is responsible for more than 3,500 deaths. It says that underage drinking cost the U.S. $24 billion, and that was in 2010, Mac. Imagine what it's costing the U.S. now.
I can tell you that no good period comes from underage drinking and the attempt to buy alcohol illegally, which means that you're not 21 and that you've probably tried to show proof that you are, is much greater than just playing a game. You're really fiddling with your future, and you're certainly currently messing with an operating family business in the state of Georgia. And quite frankly, that's just unfair.
Yeah, because if you all are caught distributing liquor to an underage person, tell me about what happens to you and what's the protocol. How do you all get caught if you do?
Well, I mean, we all have heard or know the term sting operation, and the state will get together sometimes with the local authorities, and they'll enter a business like mine. They will send a decoy in, somebody that is not 21, that will attempt to purchase alcohol. And it is absolutely incumbent upon people like us to do our job. And our job is to card that individual by simply smiling, looking at them straight in the face and saying, may I see your ID, please? And they have to produce, when asked, a proper ID, U.S. military, state-issued, either driver's license or ID, a passport, and verify upon request that they're 21 years of age. If we don't, well, very punitive things can happen, and there's usually a fine involved. In some instances, depending on your local government, you can actually be shut down for a series of days, and it fiddles with your privileged licenses that are granted by the state and your local authority to be able to sell alcohol. So only good things happen to everybody involved, believe it or not, even those that want to obtain it illegally. Good things happen when we card in our locations.
Mac Thurston, other information that we've been able to glean from the CDC's website is that alcohol is the most commonly used substance among young people in the U.S., and data from several national surveys document the use of alcohol among young people. According to the 2019 Youth Risk Behavior Survey, finding that among high school students during the past 30 days, 29% drank alcohol, 14% binge drank, 5% of drivers drove after drinking alcohol, and 17% rode with a driver who had been drinking alcohol. My guest today is Mac Thurston, the owner of Mac Liquors in Midtown. We pass by it, or you might stop in and say hello to Mac. But this is something where you're not just a proprietor, Mac. You're in the community. You're president of the Georgia Alcohol Dealers Association with more than 400 members. Got you on the phone. We talk about being under the gold dome at the Georgia legislature. That's one of the things that you do now also. Big deal on the Hill, I guess we can say. Mac, what are some of your goals? We just ended a legislative session. What were some of the other things that you were working on?
Well, we're always working on information and informing the legislators about what we do, how we go about doing it. The impact that we make as an industry in the state of Georgia is substantial. Millions and millions of dollars are returned to the state of Georgia in the forms of taxation. Jobs are created throughout the state wherever there's an independent packaged liquor store. And we feel that, there is a tremendous economic impact that businesses like mine bring to the state of Georgia. And it's incumbent once again upon us to run those businesses the best way that we know how, and the best way we know how is to make sure that all sales are legal sales. And might I add, I'm also a parent. I now have adult children, but I have two sons, and we sat them down early on and we talked about alcohol. We had that discussion. We told them that at this point, there's a good reason to wait till you're 21. Part of that, obviously, is proven to be health-related reasons. But at the same time, nothing good happens when people underage obtain alcohol. And we also talk to them about the peer pressure, no pun intended, the peer pressure that's brought by other friends and that people that to try alcohol and to go for it. And we simply asked them that if they were ever put in that position, just to give us a call. And if we had to, we'd come pick them up, or we'd talk about it right there on the phone. And if I needed to make a phone call to another parent, I would certainly do that. So I think that parents need to take the responsibility to speak to their children. And while we're on parents, how about let's make sure that we act as adults when we too are imbibing, that we have a good time when alcohol is involved, and that we act in a responsible manner when we consume beverage alcohol, and obviously impart that to our kids. So I think the parents play a greater role in all of this, and it's a role that needs to be taken seriously. It's no game, and let's get on the parenting side of no drinking under the age of 21.
I think those are some great last words as this interview is coming to a close. Mac Thurston, tell everybody again the name of your business.
My business is Max Beer and Wine, Midtown Liquor. We are in the heart of Midtown on West Peachtree Street.
And Mac Thurston is also president of the Georgia Alcohol Dealers Association. Mac, if our listeners wanted to find out more about you, your business, or the Georgia Alcohol Dealers Association, what can they do?
Well, they can reach out to me at maxbeerandwine.com or just look up the Georgia Alcohol Dealers Association, their website, and they can tell you what we're about.
So, Mac, thank you so much for your time.
Maria, thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to get our message out of the proper use of beverage alcohol among the population, and the fact that underage drinking does absolutely nobody any good. IntelliCheck stands in the way of that sort of activity, and it's the type of activity that we want to reduce.
And everyone, thank you for listening. I'm Maria Boynton.